Hi guys, I hope you're doing well and working hard at home. Today I'm going to do a read aloud with you guys. I'm going to do a book. Throughout the story, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I want you to really think hard about your answer and answer them in your head or out loud. If I'm moving too fast, you can go ahead and pause the video just to give yourself time to think. And then at the end of this story, I'm going to give you two things that you can write about, okay? So that's something that you can do in your notebook or on a piece of paper. Yeah. All right, so the book that we are going to read today is called Loveykins by Quentin Blake. Let's go ahead and look at the cover. This old lady, what she's pushing in there. Loveykins by Quentin Blake. Alrighty, we are going to start out this story, and what I want you guys to do is I want you to close your eyes. I'm going to read the beginning setting of this story, and I want you guys to do your best to visualize it, to picture it inside of your head. Okay, so go ahead and close your eyes. Angela Bowling took her shopping bag and set off for the village. It was a bright spring morning, but the wind had blown all night in the great woods, and there were leaves and fallen branches everywhere. I want you to try and picture what it might look like outside your house or down the road a little bit if a great wind had gone through and it had put trees and branches and leaves everywhere. Think about what a mess that might look like on your street. In my head, I'm picturing it kind of hard to walk down the sidewalk because there are branches everywhere, or little sticks. All right, you guys can go ahead and open your eyes one more time. I'm going to read this. Alrighty, look at that. Branches and trees just everywhere. Angela Bowling took her shopping bag and set off for the village. It was a bright spring morning, but the wind had blown all night in the great woods, and there were leaves and fallen branches everywhere. And there was something else. What could it be? My goodness, said Angela, it's a baby bird blown out of his nest. This little Loveykins needs someone to look after him. She wrapped him up carefully in her scarf and took him home with her. Look at that look on his face. Look at that right there. Think about this bird. How do you think he's feeling right now? I'm thinking about the fact that he has completely been blown out of his nest, out of his home. I'm looking at the picture to see his face. I'm trying to think, how would I feel if I had just been kicked out of my home in a storm and I was young and I couldn't find my parents? I think I would feel pretty scared or nervous, alone, fearful. When they got there, Angela added a shawl and an old sweater so that the little bird would be warm and safe. Then she sat him in a lovely basket that once held flowers. She fed him spoonfuls of warm milk. He should have a name, said Angela. I shall call him Augustus. Only the best was good enough for Augustus. Angela fed the baby bird creamed carrots, chocolatey eclairs, black forest cake, and boxes of chocolates with assorted fillings. Think about how much we already know about birds. Do birds normally eat chocolate cake or chocolates? That's just silly. Augustus ate the whole box. "Who's a Loveykins now?" said Angela. She's dressing him. The next morning, Angela bought a fancy new stroller. It had a special umbrella to keep off the rain and the sun. Every morning after that, Angela would wrap Augustus up carefully so that he didn't catch a cold, and they would set off for the village. They met Elsie Lyons and the twins by the duck pond, Mrs. Twyford and her dollies on High Street, and Harold and his brother Gerald and their dog Wellington outside the library. At the village store, Angela Bowling bought all the best things to eat she could find. Augustus ate and ate, and as the days went by, he grew bigger and bigger. At last, he was too big for his basket and too big for the stroller, especially with all of those sweaters and blankets wrapped around him to make sure he didn't catch a cold. Oh, look at how big he looks. So big, so big. So Angela Bowling bought a brand new garden shed, especially for Augustus. Every morning, she would take him a tray of good things to eat. And then, once again, there came a night of dreadful weather. Big winds blew through the great woods. In the morning, Angela Bowling got up, put on her robe, and stepped out to see how her little Loveykins had spent the night. But what did she see before her? Look at her face. What do you think she saw? Take about 10 seconds to come up with a prediction. What do you think she saw when she woke up after this big storm? Let's find out. The garden shed had been blown flat by the wind. There, with piles of blankets and sweaters strewn about him, stood Augustus, shaking his wings. Oh, look at how big he's gotten. Huge! Angela Bowling fainted clean away. Augustus covered her carefully with a pink blanket. Then, with his wings creaking slightly from lack of use, he began to fly. He flew through the village, over Elsie Lyons and the twins, over Miss Twyford and her dollies, over Harold and his brother Gerald and their dog Wellington. See his shadow from flying above them? He flew up into the trees of the great woods. There he ate several beetles and the remains of a dead squirrel. And then he flew up into the bright blue sky. How do you guys think he feels now? How do you think it's different from the beginning of the story? Farther and farther he rose, circling on the warm winds high above the clouds. Far below, he could see Angela Bowling sleeping peacefully under the pink flowery blanket stretched out before him. Such prospects, such vistas. It took Angela Bowling a long time to recover from her shock, but after 6 months she had her garden shed rebuilt. In it she started a wonderful collection of cactuses of all shapes and sizes. And every so often, just when she's least expecting it, there is a rustle of wings, and Augustus is there on the roof of the shed. He always brings Angela a present, a dead mouse, perhaps, or a few beetles. She never eats them. The end. That was the story of Loveykins by Quentin Blake. Thank you guys so much for listening in. I hope you guys really liked the story. Now, for you guys, I want you to go ahead and I have 2 writing prompts. 1, I want you to write the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. If you need to go back through this video to re-listen to parts of the story to help you with the beginning, middle, and end, that's totally fine. It's a really good resource to use. But you need to write the beginning, middle, and end of the story. And 2, when you're done with that, I want you to write about your favorite part of the story and why. Was there a part that made you laugh, that was funny? Was there a part that you thought was really interesting? Whatever you want, just what was your favorite part of the story and why. If you guys want to go ahead